Long day late road. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Coffee. Bat coffee. Yeah, welcome everybody. Get to know your creator. We got a great show today. We're determined. These books, these great indie comics, funded and in your hands because they are great. They're awesome, and we have a lot of fun doing them. We can't do this show, of course, without the co-host. We got the great Angela Curry. What's going on?
Oh, not much. How are you, Jason?
Oh, I'm good. I was going through some comics, not sorting them, but scanning them in my little app. Scanning them in my little app.
That app is pretty sweet. I did check it out. So
yeah, it's pretty nice. It's a lot like there's some alternative stuff that I've scanned that has been in there, which is nice.
Awesome.
And I need more Batmans apparently. So it's good because now I know what Batmans I need. I need a lot. Which granted I probably have some in these other boxes back here that aren't sorted. But we're not here to talk about Batman, Angela.
Not
today. Although I would love to. I mean, we might. We might.
Anything's possible.
Anything is possible. We might talk about Batman with the great, amazing Chris. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. Just making comics, you know.
It's a lot of fun and a lot of stress.
Yeah, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, I find making comics is great. It's fun. It's amazing. The promotion part is the stress part. That's getting them funded is a little stressful, but that's where the promotion comes in. But you're going around, you're hitting the channels, you're doing all the legwork, and by that you're so drained. You're just like, oh man, it's a lot.
Yeah, I have starting today. I'm on a show every single night for 7 days.
That's how you do it. Nice.
Yep.
That's how you do it. Yep.
And I've been, I think I was on 4 shows last week and 5 the week before.
Nice.
Yeah. So
making
the rounds.
You got to grind away, but see, that's what I also love about this is that we're willing to help. We want you to get funded. We want you to make your comic. So because we love comics.
Well, that's what I was talking with John's Long Box on Friday, you know, and we were just talking about like the whole community of it, you know, and that it's a lot of fun because, you know, I mean, we're spread out all over the country and in some places all over the world. And we're just, you know, hanging out, having a good time.
Speaking of a community and people all over the world, Angela, we got a great chat going on over there. Let's say hi to the chat.
Ooh. Well, first one in was Haldir. Haldir.
Haldir.
And on Facebook, we have Andre.
What's up, Andre? Yeah, I've known Andre for like 20 years. Yeah.
And the unstoppable Jolly Green is in the house. So
what's going on? Jolly
Green.
Welcome.
Oh. And just sliding on in is Duck Bacon, my favorite bacon. So.
Hey, Duck, what's going on, Duck? And yeah, if you're watching now or on the replay, you can check out his campaign. Links pinned at the top of the chat as well in the description below. Also, hit like and subscribe and share if you're new to the channel. I'm getting notifications ringing in my ear, and it's annoying. Now I get them. I've had everything open for like 2 hours, and now I'm getting the YouTube notifications. Of course. Yeah, because I'm live, so why not? No, thank you everybody for watching. Like I said, you can check out Nano13 pinned to the top of the chat. Link is in the description below if you don't want to hear anything we have to say. But please stick around, watch, get to know Chris a little bit, and hopefully we get to know him a little bit more too. And like you said, you've been hitting the grindstone, pushing, getting your comic, getting eyes on your campaign. But what got you into all of this? What started the love for comics? Were you a child, or was it like kind of high school stuff like that?
Oh, definitely a child. I grew up in a time when comics were still on the magazine racks and the corner stores and all that. And I think my earliest memories of reading comics were my mom shopping for groceries, and I just hang out on the magazine all while she's shopping for groceries.
Yeah,
You
my
know?
brothers and I used to like because she would do that, and we would all hang out like and look through Wizard like one that was unbagged already. We would
Yeah.
look through Wizard magazine just to see what's going on and stuff. Yeah, the good old days, man.
I
Oh yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
and that's something that like we need to get back. I mean, like
yeah.
I think about it, and I'm like, okay, so now, you go to the grocery store and you see mom having a struggle with the kids and and all that. And I mean, I get it. I'm a parent, I've been there, and my kids are old enough that I don't got to struggle with them at the grocery store anymore. You
Right.
know, but when I was a kid, there was definitely a higher trust society.
I
I
think
mean,
so.
I remember spending an hour on the toy aisle by myself
Oh
at
yeah.
8, 9 years old, and nobody thought anything of it.
Nope.
And same with hanging out on the magazine rack, sitting on the floor reading comics or Wizard or whatever.
Yeah.
And
No,
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
oh, it's just that I think ultimately by doing things like taking
Hey,
comics
sorry.
out of the newsstand space and regulating them to the comic shop, it almost added to lowering
Yeah.
the trust in society. I mean, I know some people might be like, what? But really, like having more open spaces, everywhere is what added to that higher
Well,
trust.
and I
I,
also think. Well, go ahead, Angela, please.
no, I always wondered why that happened, why that transition. I mean, were they not
I
seeing as
no, yeah.
profitable, or yeah, what was up with
I
that?
mainly just think it's the inventor for one. I think really technology. I think once like 24-hour access to all media, we got inundated with child abducted, this happened, this happened. It's
Mhm.
like it's always been happening, but we just weren't. It wasn't as in the public eye as often as what it is now, where you can just go on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook with the stories. Like you could just instantaneously hear about all these tragic things. And I think now you have like what helicopter parents where
Yeah.
they really want them close by. And I get it. You don't want anything bad happening to your kids, but at the same time, you got to trust your children whenever. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about leaving a 4-year-old in the aisle, but when they're 8 or 9, like you got to trust them to teach them. Look, stranger danger. And if somebody's even walking up to you, kind of like scurry the other way, maybe like just teach them right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And that's, now it's like we teach our kids to be afraid when they're not with us. And,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not intentionally, but by the way we live our lives and raise our kids, it really is. And, you wonder why these kids are dealing with all this social anxiety and things like that. Like I remember running out the door as soon as the sun came up, and you come home and the street lights came on,
Yep.
and your
Yep.
parents, you didn't have a phone, I'd come back covered in mud, busted knees,
Yep. Take a shower, wash your hands, get ready for
Yep,
dinner.
yep. Drinking
And
out of the neighbor's water hose.
dude, funny thing was, we were talking about this last night on Mad Ruth's channel because Luke Alietta and I were on with Mad Ruth and Jason. You were busy. You were busy. But yeah, we were talking just about this very thing where and Jason brought up a great said a great thing. He's like, we were kings back then, and we were as children. We roamed and we played and we did what we let our imaginations run wild, and we didn't have to rely on a computer interface to trigger our imagination for us. We took a stick and a couple tree branches, and all of a sudden you got a sword and a shield or something. So and
Yeah.
you're a knight. You know what I mean? Or you're just playing tag with like whipped cream balloons or something. Like
Yep.
we had fun. I'm not saying kids today maybe don't, but I just think they have less. They don't touch grass as much. And I'm not an outdoorsy guy. I'm not. I'm notorious right now for being in. But then again, as an artist, we're shut-ins. But we grew up and we had those experiences as kids because we grew up with technology rather than having it 24 hours a day all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
And
yeah.
I think that like you kind of hit the nail on the head is it does stifle creativity.
Mhm.
I mean, the thing is if you grow up outside, running around outside. Like even if later on in your life you're like, I want to be an artist, and now you're relegated to the art desk, okay, but you like looked up at the clouds and saw the shapes and made up, oh man, that looks like this and that looks like that's a dinosaur and that's a bear, and dinosaurs and bears fighting in the sky. Like, okay, cool.
There's my next comic. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like parents also, they wanted their alone time and they appreciated it, so they wanted to be adults and do adult things. So that's why. And knowing we didn't know that back then, but knowing we're like, yeah, we would want our kids to maybe go out and play and like be safe, but go play up the street. Go come back when, like you said, street lights are on. Now my street has no lights actually, but you still know when they come on. And
well, our parents still set boundaries. They said, you can't go past this street,
right? Exactly.
Or you can't, go to this person's house, or or whatever. But still, you had this giant playground that was your neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. I mean, not only did I have my neighborhood that I grew up in, my grandparents had a farm. And, during the summer, I would spend a lot of time out there.
Oh,
and,
nice.
It was the same. It was, granddad would tell us, hey, you can't go past the second barn or something like that, but there was still so much that you could do. I mean, there was a stock tank we could go fishing in, and there's the cattle chute that a cattle chute is literally just a jungle gym if you're 10 years old.
And that's the other thing that you're saying. If you're younger, like 10, 9, whatever it may be, distances are longer than what you are than when you're like 30, because you like, oh, I drive everywhere. But if you're walking everywhere, it's like 500 feet is way it's way further than what it is as an adult. So it seems like it's far away when it's really not. So yeah. So oh, what?
He said we had to worry about nuclear annihilation. Stranger danger was a minor concern compared to that. And then Citizen Ronan said his mom kicked him out of the house. Also, Henry Beam said regarding plastic guns, walking around with realistic looking guns, it was a golden age. Like, we'll never probably see another plastic gun again, just because.
Well, there's a couple instances as to why, but
unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately, and sad things do happen, But so, speaking of which, though, not about sad things, but about like things growing up and stuff like that. So you were introduced to like spinner racks, stuff like that. What were some of the first books you maybe gravitated towards, or do you remember your first comic?
My earliest memories of like a story arc was Trial of the Flash.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, it's still kind of I haven't reread it in a long time, but. I would say my fondest memories were in the 90s. I mean, Death of Superman and Nightfall and Age of Apocalypse and all those like kind of epics that were going on in the 90s. And that's another thing I've talked about a lot on the shows I've been on is people now, like, you can go get the Nightfall trade paperback. And you read it front to back or whatever. But back then, whenever you were collecting the issues and you were waiting for that next one, remember in Death of Superman when you get the first glimpse of Doomsday when his suit rips, and you're like, wait a minute, what is that? What's under that thing? And you got to wait a whole nother month before you get that next book, and that was so much fun. Like I don't see that with mainstream comics anymore, but I do see it in indies. For example, Graveyard Shift Volume 5 is doing really, really good. If you read 4, it ends, they're traveling in space to go fight a Cthulhu monster, and now I gotta wait and see what's gonna happen,
Right. And yeah, like, don't get us wrong. Like, yeah, we wish we could do that on a monthly basis because it would be a shorter bit of a wait. But you're right. Like, I don't mind because I think the way we grew up with comics and the way we were used to it, I don't mind the cliffhanger at the end and then waiting, a year, because it's
yeah, I don't mind that either.
I really don't mind it because, like I was saying last night, we're usually getting something almost all the time anyway. If you back enough campaigns, I know finances are tough right now, but if you back enough campaigns, you're gonna get something once a month minimum. You know what I mean? So sometimes 2 or 3 times a month.
Well, and most of these books are quite a bit larger than your traditional, 24-page.
Yeah, they usually run anywhere from 24 to like what 300. You have death at 300 pages. So so I mean, you're getting an insane amount of content usually, and usually they are 48. Like that's the norm for a lot of these indie books is 48, and I think that's pretty solid and pretty good for the price point because they're prestige formatted, or even if they're stable bound, but they're still prestige comics. Like they're higher end, higher materials, the quality is better, and the thought that goes into them I think is a lot more in depth. Like most books are 3 months ahead. Like, if you Batman, like they drew the most current issue 3 months ago. Like that's the way they work, or at least that's the way they're supposed to work. So they do have a little bit of a gap, but still we have more time to focus and harness the story, the art, and build our craft and make these. That's why the price point is also so high. So we want to make sure we're getting high quality content in your hands and stuff like that. So yeah, those story arcs are great, and I don't mind waiting for the it ends at a cliffhanger. Oh, Graveyard Shift 5 just ended a cliffhanger. Oh, I'll go read Wrath of God then. Or Wraith of God. I'll go read Wraith of God. So, and that's another long book. So it's going to take me a couple days to read it if I were to have normal vision and read. Everybody knows I can't see crap. But but either which way, like it would still take you a couple days, maybe even 3 if you're just like busy doing stuff. So you have a lot of content in just one book already to satiate that appetite. And plus, I mean, I will defend it a little bit here. Mainstream's starting to put out some good stuff. I mean, Titan is independent, but Conan, so dope. Like Savage Sword just came out. The Batman stuff has been pretty decent. So
I keep hearing good things about Transformers and G.I. Joe, and
same here.
I was actually, because I haven't read a mainstream comic in close to a decade.
Oh wow!
And
okay.
Like that's I was like I
get
can't
it
anymore.
I get it. Yeah.
And I got a lot of friends that are like, man, this Transformers is really really good, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the trade paperback,
and that's fine. Yeah.
And I get. But now I'm like, I keep hearing good things. I hear this Duke series is really good. The G.I. Joe spinoff.
Plague's been picking it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I might have to run down to the local shop.
But once again, that's not really total mainstream because I think G.I. Joe's being put up by IDW or
Skybound.
Skybound. Yeah. So it's independent mainstream stuff that's kind of like starting to realize, hey, things aren't the way they should be. Let's put out some cool stuff. Like I said, I'm digging the Conan stuff. Like just the artwork alone is amazing. So, and like I said, slowly and surely they're starting to wake up. But you're not wrong, dude. Like you said, 10 years ago, that's about when the fit hit the shan. Yeah. So, and dude, I was still buying mainstream throughout that, and it was rough. It was rough, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't collect this anymore. My pull got dwindled to almost nothing. And I only bought the things I bought because I was a diehard. Like I was a huge Thor. Thor was my jam. That's the first thing I ever had. And I fought my way through those Jane Foster stories, dude. So,
oh man, I honestly, after Reign was when I read Thor a little bit longer after that, but yeah, I fell off right around
the only thing keeping me on was the artwork was pretty decent. I was like, the artwork's not bad, so I at least was able to flip through the stuff. But yeah, so Fanta, what's going on? So yeah, I don't blame you dipping out over those 10 years. I get it. Were you collecting then just independent? Because the crowdfunding scene wasn't really around until like about 2018. So were you more independent? Or did you just stop completely?
I just stopped completely, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for quite some time, and then once the crowdfunding scene started to kind of get up and going, I you know, slowly was like, I'll check out this book, I'll check out that book, and then now I'm like, okay, these are the series that, you know, I really enjoy and I want to keep collecting.
Right.
So,
So you're mainly, when you were growing up, you were mainly a DC guy.
um, you know, I don't want to say that I was, because when I think back, like, I mean, X-Men was my jam in the
Mm.
90s,
Oh, without a doubt.
and and I mean, I was like, I loved all the X stuff going on. You know, like, not just X-Men, but, you know, Excalibur and X-Force and all that. I thought it was so cool, because I like, and you'll see in my campaign, because my characters, it's tech based powers. I always like characters like like Cable
Mm-hmm.
and Forge, and, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
like, I think that's like this cool, like, I'm a cyborg and I have powers, like, that's
Mhm.
just so sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I've always loved Cable, especially you got Artsy Bear who was working on Cable back in the
Mm-hmm.
day too. Great artist as well and creator. So yeah, yeah, we were big into the Marvel stuff mainly, but like I was telling Angela, you know, Batman was a really big thing. I think DC, most people do gravitate to Batman.
Yeah. Oh
Just
yeah.
be
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
especially, you know, I mean, in the era of Dixon and Nolan, you know, doing Batman, like, how could you not? You know, and
Oh yeah.
then that run on Robin that Dixon
Oh
wrote, like,
yeah,
oh
dude.
my goodness, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I heard somebody ask. I can't remember where it was. Because they wanted to start collecting some more Chuck Dixon. They didn't know where to start. I'm thinking Robin. Just
Yeah.
get the Robin mini. It's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is really good.
yeah. So,
Um,
who are some of your favorite artists and writers and stuff? I know you grew up. You know, you mainly are you know, '90s jam type person, but who are some of your favorites?
I mean, I'm a really big Jim Lee fan.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay,
know,
cool.
so, and being like, I'm not an artist. I just write.
You don't have to be an
Uh,
artist to be a fan of these guys.
right, exactly. But, you know, obviously Chris Claremont, and then Chuck Dixon and Mike Barron, though. I mean, to me, you know, when I think of the Punisher, I think of Mike Barron.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there is no other. You know, I mean, even, you know, I mean, Chuck's run on Punisher was good too, but man, like, the Punisher is Mike Barron.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and uh you know, I do like Liefeld's stuff, and then, of course, you know, the McFarlane Spawn, which was, when McFarlane only drew like, what, the first 12 issues or something like that before it
Somewhere
got
in there, yeah.
passed
Uh,
off.
Yeah, I know issue 16, I think, is the first Capullo one. I think.
Oh, okay,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
So
think.
somewhere, yeah, right
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
And
So, yeah.
they did do Punisher dirty. They did.
Yeah.
I was telling my youngest brother, because he's the same. He was super into comics. He was, he's younger than me, so he was into, like, he was into Marvel in the 2000s,
Mm.
and he's really big fan of, like, House of M and, Avengers Disassembled and that era. And then he fell off, and he called me the other day, and we were talking comics, and I was telling him what happened to the Punisher, and he was like, dude, I didn't even want to hear that. Like, I don't even want to know that happened.
Yeah,
And didn't
Angela, you go ahead. Yeah.
didn't they just recently relaunch or create a new Punisher and a new universe as well? I guess, to kind of, because that whole thing, because we did a show about it, didn't we, Jason? In regards to how they, you know, kind
We
of.
did do a show. Because we talked about it. It was a while back. Because whenever they were first, like we were saying, doing the Punisher dirty,
Mm-hmm.
and they first, like, just totally demolished that character and that who he was and who he is and what he stands for. And Yeah, I don't know if they have a new one out now. I think they do.
Cat knows, because I feel like they brought him back in a new universe.
They might have.
And I think I'm just kind of like they've really already tarnished him. I feel, and I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but it's almost like they're trying to right a wrong, and I don't know. Sometimes too late for that. So I don't know.
I mean, at this point, like, I kind of want it to die so that it can be reborn. You know?
Oh, I agree. Well, Punish.
Yeah, it's a new person too. It's Joe Garrison. Before it was
okay.
Yeah, they changed it to completely brand new.
Yeah, see, like, okay, don't get me wrong. I have no problem with them, like, maybe changing the way a character, like, acts or behaves based on character growth and stuff like that, but have it be character growth and don't just force something that's totally out of the box of what they normally think or do. And also, Frank Castle is the Punisher. Like, Frank Castle is the Punisher. Yes. It just is the way it is, and I understand. Oh, these times it doesn't matter. You need that anti-hero. You need somebody who is just hardened by life.
You know what's really funny about these, like, this whole idea of a mantle or whatever. You got 9,000 spider people, and you got a new Punisher or whatever. Is in the real world, Disney would sue the pants off of you for using one of their properties. But in the comic world, some guy's like, I'm the Punisher now. And then, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Like,
Henry Demas says they changed his logo because too many cops and soldiers had adopted it and can't have anything right-wing in comics. And then also Holy Hand Grenades says they changed the iconic logo.
And I'm sorry, once you change his logo, that thing is iconic as all get out. Yeah. It's just like Spider-Man. You change that logo, you're done. Superman, change that logo. Forget they even tried to change Superman's logo. People hated it. Like, remember they did the birth of Superman. They were What's that?
It was like New Coke.
Yeah, it was like New Coke. Yeah, people don't like it, and let alone like just the Punisher was, I don't know, he was just something that you can kind of understand but never go to. Like you could be like, oh, somebody wiped out my family. I get it. I would never be able to do all that. That's what he does is monstrous. Right. Don't get me wrong, but I get it.
I get it. He's Rambo unleashed in the United States.
And that's the great thing. Like, and we're talking about it now. That's the great thing. What makes the Punisher such an awesome character is it's a question of morality. Like, is he right in what he does? Like, should he, like, if that happened to you, how would you react? Would you be able to do what he does? Would you understand it? Can you go to those lengths? Would you want to go to those lengths?
That's a story that has been told over and over and over again for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
Of, man has his family murdered by bad guys and he goes on his revenge tour. I mean, there's like Greek myths, go
exactly.
So it's
and
of
not
course,
dude. Not only that, it's kind of Punisher's the flip of Batman. Like, it's like, whoa, well, Batman's parents were murdered. He doesn't kill anybody. It's like, but that's because of his mindset and his morals and how he is. Like, it's just, he's the flip side of that coin. And it's almost like you can't have the one without the other. And once you change him, like, oh, no, he doesn't even believe in guns. It's like, yeah, all right, I'm out. He's using swords. I had a guy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had a guy defending that. He's like, "No, it's really cool." I'm like, "No, it's not. I don't care what your argument is. It's wrong."
Exactly. Come on, like he's like a military vet. He's gonna know. Like, I mean, I'm an Army vet. Like, I can. I mean. There's 2 guns sitting in the room with me right now.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. It's these times that we live in where the I don't want to call them wackos. People are entitled to their belief structures and their opinions and stuff like that. But the people who are the minority have the majority of the voices. And so they're getting their infusing like media, pop culture, and everything with their ideals. And since they have so much sway, things are getting changed by it. And thankfully, some things are kind of, like I said, look at things like, we were having good stuff happening like G.I. Joe and Conan, stuff like that. So things are swaying a little bit as to where it's like, and independent comics where we're like, look, we know fun, cool stories. We're going to tell them. Now, let's say somebody who has these ideals and has those voices that are in the minority of being the majority, they want to put out a comic. Go ahead. Raise your funds. Put out a crowdfunder or publish it yourself. Do it. We encourage creativity, but don't change what we have already because of who you are.
Right. Well, and the thing is the market and the landscape, the entertainment landscape is changing rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
The indie scene is growing. Sure, everybody kind of has, like, it's not like I don't know, we'll say Graveyard Shift is competing numbers with Batman, but that audience is very, motivated to get that book, and they're telling other people, and they're, having other people, read it and be like, dude, you got to check this out, and if you look back at like Ninja Turtles in the beginning, those guys were doing their own printing and going to comic book shops and selling them right to the retailers or whatever. Hey, put my stuff on your shelf. It's only a matter of time before some of these indie creators get their stories are noticed by someone that has a lot of money and is like, I want to make this huge because I feel like I can make a lot of money off of it, and there you go. You get a Cyber Frog cartoon, or you get a Graveyard Shift Netflix series, or whatever. It really is. It's just a matter of time because people that are in the business of making money eventually are going to be like, look, I'm so tired of these stories that don't make me any money. Find me one that does.
Right.
And like I said, Ninja Turtles was a really good example of that. Those guys were hustling like,
oh yeah.
I mean, man, you think about crowdfunding and doing shows and stuff like that. You think that's hustling? Those guys were bringing stacks.
We have it a lot easier to do it now. You know what I mean? Back then, like you said, you had to really hit the grindstone.
Dude, those guys were the punk rock of comics back in the day.
And we're kind of bringing it back a little bit. And you bring up a good point. Like, things really aren't in a competition with one another in all reality. Like, I know people might look at it that way. Like, oh, if I back Nano 13, I can't back Absolute. It's like, well, actually you can. You can back it next month. Or, by the way, if it goes out of, like, it's done, you could just DM us and be like, hey, do you still have a copy?
Exactly.
Like, it's no different than going to your local shop and then buying a back issue of Batman. Like, you can still do it. So it's really not a full-on competition as much as it is inspiration. It's like, wow, I really love what, Goblin Girl's doing. That artwork's phenomenal. I got to pump up my game. I really like what they're doing on Wolverine. They got Capullo back. Oh, I better step it up. You know what I mean? So it's more or less inspiration to see all these campaigns doing well and see even like mainstream coming back into the fold if it is, and being like, look, I need to step my game up because I need to do better and get more sales for myself. So that's the way. I don't look at it as competition because it just isn't. It's more inspiration.
It is. It's, I mean, honestly, iron sharpens iron, and it's not like you said, it's not competition per se. It's us looking forward and saying, like, man, I want to be that good. I want to be as good of a story writer as Mike Barron,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And then somebody will say, well, I mean, you're kind of getting a late start. You're 42 years old. Tolkien was 45.
Right. Who the broad that wrote Harry Potter? She was like in her 40s, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think a lot. I think a lot of good stories come out of people once they're past 40 because they have life experience and they kind of understand how's somebody going to react in a certain situation, or how do you get to this point and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't great writers, in their 20s, but they haven't seen enough of how the world works to really grasp, what's going
Right.
on, you
Well,
know?
and that also brings us to back to like, because of the times that we're living in now, people that are in their 40s are like, oh, you mean to tell me I could just like launch this up, start, maybe do even fund it myself because I'm working full time. Like
Mm-hmm.
I could do a print run for like $1,000. Oh, I have 50 grand saved up in my bank account. Like, just an example. So I think now that we're older, also we're like, look, we can do it. Like back in back in the day, it was a lot harder, as we said with Eastman and Laird and stuff like that. It's like you take
Yeah.
that risk when you're 25 years old to throw everything away and just like, but if you saved up funds and stuff, you're like, you could do this, and you do this as a second job. Like this is a second job, making comics. Like I have my full-time job, then I have my comics job.
Mm-hmm.
It's a second gig. It takes more than 40 hours a week usually, but it's something that we love to do. And so like collecting comics is a hobby, making comics is a job.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but we do it because we love to do it. It's not because we hope to like retire from our regular jobs and do it full time. That
Yeah.
is the goal. Like that is the end all be all goal. Will it happen? Maybe, maybe not. Who's to say? Like somebody could see Nano 13, see us talking about it right now, and be like, "Hey, I really love that." They reach out to you and be like, "You know what? Hey, I'm the publisher at Dark Horse. I really want to put it out. When you get 3 issues, let me know. We'll put it in stores." Like you never know what could happen
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of what we're doing right now.
Yep.
So
And
yeah,
that's the thing, is like, um, sure, we all have our different principles and things like that, but you know, and I'm never going to say compromise that, but man, at any avenue that you can take, any opportunity, if a door opens, at least peek your head in
Mm.
and say, is this right for me?
right.
Because now there are so many options. I mean, if you're like, hey, I I want to make comics, but I don't really have the funds to do print or whatever. There's Webtoons and other sites that do stuff like that. If you want to go the crowdfunding route, if you want to still try the traditional get hooked up with a major publisher route. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it, and even even in like the thing I've realized is in like the Comicsgate type space or whatever, is a very small portion of
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
indie comics.
For sure.
I mean, like I'm sandwiched right between Dallas and Austin, and there are so many indie creators that they're like, oh yeah, Comicsgate, yeah, that's like I know this book and that book and everything, but then like every time I go to a con in this area, I find 3 or 4 new creators I had never heard of. I
Mm-hmm.
get their books, and then I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Like, the
Oh
indie
yeah.
scene really is thriving. And I brought this up on John's Longbox the other night. I wish that there was a
We'll get to that,
way
Angela.
for us to track indie sales. Like, there's never going to be a way for us to actually
Mhm.
track
Yeah,
indie
that's pretty
sales.
tough.
But I would love to see those numbers up against the mainstream numbers. That would be interesting.
It would.
Yeah, it
Henry
would.
said that he really respects creators with day jobs because it's a passion project. Yeah, but you're hitting the grind, and yet you still have a dream, and
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
so
No, he's right. I mean, and that it is, you have to be passionate in order to do this, because that's how you tell the people that are doing this are in it because they love it and not just because they're trying to make a buck, because good luck making a buck. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. And you're not wrong. Like we don't really like sit here and make great like thousands, like if you're big time, like you got EVS, you got Malin, you got Graham Nolan, you got LaPrestis. They're established, so they
yeah.
can make their finances through this. We're just in this because we love it. We love this as a second job, and that's how you know you're passionate about it, because and they're passionate about it too. I'm not dissing anybody here, but that's how you know it. You love doing this, because if you get into this and you're like, oh, I could draw, I'm gonna put out a crowdfunder. It's like, oh, I only made $20 after fulfillment and printing. It's like, this ain't worth it after a year and a half of me grinding. Like it's not like you have to really love doing this in order to stay with it. And you're not wrong. It would be great to see though the sales of all the independent creators all across the board, because I was just at the mall the other day at my LCS, and Paul Ferris, who does Canada Bear, he does other projects, he was up there. He's out there selling his wares, selling his stuff, and he's still grinding away. You know what I mean? So, and there's so many people outside of this realm, even the YouTube realm, or the social media scene, because not everybody is like, I follow what comic book it's like comic indie creators or something on YouTube, and they're just sitting there making their thing. Sometimes they'll publish or promote, but not everybody gets on that channel. Not everybody's on this channel. Not everybody's some people are just out there at cons, like just grinding away, putting out their stuff. What are their numbers? Like, it is astronomical if you go through the artist alley at a convention. People have books that you've never heard of before in your life, and they still make them because they love doing it. So what are those numbers? Not only just against the mainstream, but combine them with mainstream. What are they compared to manga? Now, I'm not a manga hater. I think everybody should actually check it out. I think it's worth it because comics is comics. That's my viewpoint. It's just a different style. So yeah, but you're not wrong.
Indie comics is an uphill grind. It takes years to get to the point where you are self-sustaining, but it can be done eventually. And to piggyback on earlier comment, I believe regarding older creators, having more solid IPs. I'd never say it's not possible for someone in their 20s to produce something good. It's just extremely rare to see. So
yeah, I agree with that.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's the thing. And let's get to the crowdfunding aspect of it, because we see all these books and stuff. If you go to Fund My Comic and you scroll through that site, there is a lot of bangers on there. Like, it's great, and that's just Fund My Comic. You got Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Zoop. I've never been on that site, but I'm just saying, there's a lot of books out there, and there's some amazing talent that it's like, how are you guys like not even recognized right now? Like, I people will tell me, dude, you're like, and I'm not trying to gloat, but they're like, you're not noticed. I can't believe you're doing these numbers. No. So they're like, I'm like, thank you so much. I'm like, but I'm just an indie creator, and it's just the way it is. And I mean, you get your following, like you're hitting the grindstone. You got Nano 13 out now. It's your first campaign, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's your first campaign. People are seeing, oh, okay, Chris has a book out. Oh, this looks kind of interesting. I'll wait a little bit, see if it's funded. Okay. Oh, he's pushing it. Okay, I'm gonna back it now that he's fulfilling. That it's gonna get in my hands. And then they get it and they read it. They're like, oh, this story's pretty dope. I can't wait for the next one. Now you got a fan. Now you got a backer. And and they might even be like, hey, John Smith, have you seen Nano 13? It's pretty dope. And they tell them. Every little bit, slowly and surely, gets you up there if you have good content and good quality. And it shows if you love it. There's plenty of people where you look at it, you're like, I could see potential, but it's almost like they're trying to do this because they think they should. They don't really love it. So
yeah, for me, what made me really decide like I'm gonna make my own book is I've had this story rolling around in my head and evolving since I was 19, 20 years old, and I was like, if not now, when? I mean, why not? Like,
yeah, real quick, what got you? What introduced you to the crowdfunding scene? Like, what got you into Comicsgate, indie comics? What got you first introduced to it?
Yeah.
Eric July launching the Rippaverse was really kind of like when he announced it before it was actually like before any book came out. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't read any comics in a while, and then I saw I saw Graham Nolan on some interview, like I was scrolling through YouTube, and then I saw his Compass Comics stuff, and I checked out his website, the compasscomics.com, and I was like, wait a minute, Graham is making indie books, like, hold up. And then I you know, thank goodness I'm not married, or I would have gotten in trouble in the amount of money I spent.
I hear that, man. I hear that.
And yeah, I just kind of dove right in, you know, through that. You know, I discovered, you know, all caps and haunted pizza, and you know, and it just
Mark Hilton.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you kind of got in it through almost just accidental discovery. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting. See, I like hearing about how people first got into this. Like I came in, everyone knows, or if you're new to the channel, you don't. But I came in with Frega, way back in the day when he was in 2019, 2020. So like, and it's amazing. I didn't even know about any of this stuff. And then, so yeah, but it's amazing to hear how a lot of people come in because of Zach. A lot of people like the crowdfunding stuff, they come in because of that. A lot of people, Ethan's comic artist Pro Secrets, when he was talking about how to make comic books and stuff like that, and he got his Cyber Frog going. So a lot of people came in because of that. Like there's a lot of interesting ways, and then just accidental discovery. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool to hear how people. First off, I love hearing how people first started collecting comics, because it's not the most common thing in the world, especially back in the 80s and 90s, to start collecting comics. So. So I like hearing that, and I also like hearing how people first came into this whole crowdfunding scene, and so and you have a really cool campaign out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, that was awesome.
Who did Everybody that, loves my trailer, and I can't thank Order of the Fly enough for the music on that.
Who did the trailer?
Good Stuff.
Hey, everybody! Yay! Go subscribe to Good Stuff's channel. Everybody.
Exactly, man. Good Stuff is great.
Dude, I love Good Stuff. Good Stuff and Mrs. Good Stuff. They're amazing people. They're great. Great human beings. Yeah.
It was originally the trailer was going to be made by the singer of the band that was playing on there, but he is in the U.S. Army Reserves and he came down on deployment orders. And I was like, Good Stuff. Can you help me out, man? And he was like, yeah, sure. And
nice.
Yeah, it took him about a weekend, and there you go.
Nice. So give us the rundown, my friend. Tell us about the Nano 13.
Simple blurb is 3,000 years ago, aliens invaded Earth and enslaved mankind. Now there is a group of former slaves turned freedom fighters who just happen to have nano powers, and they are going to overthrow the alien overlords and take their planet back.
Yeah, I like me a good alien story.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So these are nasty, like insectoid aliens with they're obsessed with like genetics and eugenics and things like that. So they're especially evil.
So what were some of your inspirations aside from like X-Men and stuff like that?
I'm a really big, like, just kind of gritty sci-fi fan. Nice. I love like Battlestar Galactica, Space Above and Beyond. You know, of course, Star Wars. You know, just like I like that like, you know, broken down sci-fi. You know, like,
right? I gotcha.
Yeah, it's just I want to see the dirty side.
Nice. Nice. Well, who's the artist on the book?
Ron Masicki. Romo
Masicki.
art. Yeah. He's I saw he was working on a book called Sector 7.
Oh, I've heard of Sector 7.
And
How? I don't
that's
know how,
my
but I've heard of
daughter.
Oh, hello.
Hell. How many times I've seen Stargate because of you. How awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
Ron, I saw his work on Sector 7. I loved his style and was just
good.
like,
I like it.
Yeah, this is what I want.
Does he do the colors as well, or do you have a colorist?
No, Jay Brown is doing the colors. A lot of people know him from G.I. Joe.
Look at you.
Cool.
He gave me a really good compliment when he said, "I love this book because of all the action." When the guy from G.I. Joe says, "I like your book for the action," you're like, okay, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think if you have a book that it's getting colored, please, people know who your colorist is. They don't get enough love, even though their name is Ink Spots sometimes. No, it is true, because a lot of times the writer and the penciler, like they get like the highlights, and then you get great colors like this, and then you're like, man, sometimes you don't know who it is. So cite your colorist, everybody. Are you doing the lettering as well as writing, or?
No, I just did the writing, and Ron is also doing the lettering, and I have Mark Polton as my editor.
Well, you can't go wrong with the moral compass. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
He's put out more books than anyone, I think, right?
Exactly. And one of the reasons why I, approached him was because of his track record. I was like, this guy is looking over so many books, every year to get them out. And, and then of course, I know like his past at Image, and then of course Savage Hawkman. And I was like, I want some real professional eyes to be able to look at my book. This is my first one, and let me know, what I need to do. And
we haven't had Mark on the show yet, but I'm a huge fan of his. I like him. He's a solid dude. He loves comics, and you can't go wrong with having him on your book. To me, it's like having like Eric Weathers. Like, it has that extra little panache to it, So it's great. How many pages?
42.
Oh, look at you!
Excellent.
42 pages. Is this how many do you have in store? Is this going to be a series? Do you have like 13 of them? Like.
So it is not just is it going to be a series, it will be an ever expanding universe if I am so blessed by the backers.
Nice.
I have 5 issues of Nano 13 written, and I'm about almost halfway through writing issue 6, and I have a one-shot written. And nice. After issue 3, it expands into 3 more titles.
That we're just gonna do another point. Why the name Nano 13?
Yeah.
So they are nano-powered heroes,
right?
And there are 13 of them. This story focuses on the lead team of 4. You will see 11 of the nano heroes in this book. 2 others are alluded to, and it's a mystery on where they are.
So did you legit have 13 heroes already determined for the book, or just through your creative? Okay. So
yeah. So the
Nano 11, but it's Nano
13. Right. It's yeah. The story, I like I said, I've had this story in my head for a long time. The vast majority of the characters are based off of people that I've known over my life.
Very cool.
So like the main character with the red beard and all that, that's one of my close friends, Aaron.
Cool.
And then the big guy with the shotgun is my best friend John. Nice. It really I heard Chuck Dixon talking about writing characters, and he like one character he wrote, he thought of his dad, and it helped him like, oh, well, how would this person react to this situation, or how would they speak? What's their cadence and all that?
Mm.
And I think that helps in the writing process for sure, because it's like, I already have a personality that I know, you know, if I picture this person, you know, as this character, I know what they're going to say here. I know, and it helps move the story along, you know, and honestly, a lot of times it almost writes itself, you know. I'm like, just go in, and then I do, people keep asking me my writing process. I drive for a living. I drive about 250 to 300 miles a day.
Oh, geez.
So,
a lot of thinking.
I
a lot of story writing.
I dictate on my phone.
Nice.
And you know, and then I just go back and, you know, throw out what I don't want and condense down and, you know, arrange and all that. And then I'm like, okay, here's the core idea. Let's, you know, get to outlining it and
yeah, I was talking about this with Matt Burke, Metal Movies and Brewskis. Everybody go subscribe to him. And we were talking about like workplace environments and like actual like mind-numbing work, like mindless work, and how it's beneficial actually to a creative to kind of have a like quote unquote mundane job where you're not thinking about anything, because I even told him like, yeah, dude, I'm constantly thinking about creative ideas because all I do is just slap a label on a package and send it out. I don't do anything. If you're just sitting around driving, yeah, you got to pay attention to what you're doing, but your brain is wandering and it's not involved in like, oh, like if you're like a computer software engineer or IT person where you have to think about all these things constantly in your head, you're distracted. So if you're not as distracted, your brain is constantly just firing in that creative aspect, and you get some great ideas that way. Especially if you're dictating them as you go. I try to have to remember everything because I'm. Yeah,
one of my coworkers says that I just talk to myself all day in my truck. But, you know.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Dan Plagle, he drove before he had to leave for the cancer. He drove the tow truck, and so he would just wait for a call, and he'd just be sitting in the cab drawing like pages of Goblin Girl and stuff like that, and or other books. He's got like 20 books in the pipeline because he's a phenom. But yeah, so it helps to have kind of that job where you can get that creative juices flowing and not have to worry so much about it. But I mean, life comes first. If you need a job and it pays well and you get health insurance, please take it, you know, by all means. But yeah, so you plan on this being a full-on, complete like thing? You have other ideas in mind? Really dope. Is every book going to be 42 pages? I think you said.
Yeah, they're between. I keep telling everybody I can't seem to get to 48. Like I just, you know. So I told Ron. I was like, you're just going to have to do more double page spreads or something, you know?
Yeah, put him to work. Put him to work. Well, now, is he drawing all, do you know, I'm sorry, Angela, just real quick, is he drawing all traditionally or is it digital?
He draws digital.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He did do a piece of penciled art for this book. And it was actually the first thing that sold on the campaign. I was like nice. 10 minutes after launch, you know, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty awesome. And then I found out it was my brother that bought it.
Hey, dude, my nephew bought the cover to Absolute Book too, so it's fine.
Nice.
Actually, do you plan on going on any other?
I was going to ask that too.
Launching.
Yes. So I do plan on doing things a little different than most crowdfunders do, because I want to evangelize Fund My Comic. So after the FMC campaign is over, I won't be going into demand, but I'll be going over to Kickstarter. And then after that one's over, I'll be going over to Indiegogo. Nice. And I'm going to have a FMC advertisement on the back cover of the book. And kind of my, I've always done things for the revolution, not necessarily for the money. And, you know, so I know that over on Kickstarter, you're going to get a different audience. Over on Indiegogo, you're going to get a different audience. And, you know, I want them to receive a book with a Fund My Comic advertisement on there. And then, you know, hopefully they go check out Fund My Comic and back other stuff on there. But I'll be back to fund my comic after.
Oh yeah. Well,
after I evangelize.
You could always put an FMC QR code on the back with it.
Yeah.
That way they can scan it. Yeah.
Henry Bemis said he just backed and he doesn't know if FMC gives backer numbers, but anyway.
It does not. It does not. Yeah.
It does not, yeah, because I backed on Fund My Comic and I'm like, I don't have a backer number.
Yeah. If it helps me get more backers, I am campaign number 420.
Hey.
Justin Belmont was none too happy that I got.
I was going to say, well, but he might back it then because of it. You never know. So, no,
he was like, "Are you kidding me?" He and I had a great conversation about it.
That's funny.
I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I just start talking sometimes and I don't know.
You're kidding.
No, go.
Do you have a self-insert? Is there a character in here that's based on you? Will you confirm or deny this?
This guy right here with the crazy eyes, the guy with the mask or whatever. He was kind of originally based on me when I first thought of the idea. I don't think he's maybe based on a more 19-year-old me now.
Because that's when you came up with the story. Isn't that what you mentioned earlier? Or was that years old when you were kind of writing this out?
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice. Ooh. All right, let's well, you have some tiers. I like the fact that there's not 8,000 tiers.
Yeah.
I do like that. I mean, there's not really a big problem with it. It's just it makes it easier to pick what you want is the main thing. And it's kind of like, hey, get this, get that. So everyone knows I can't see. So what is your first one here?
So the first one is just get the book, $20.
I like that price point. I like it also because it's not a 48 pager, so you're like, hey, I can't do the regular 25. Times are tough. It's nice to do a little 20.
I completely understand. I gotta buy eggs.
You're a backer too. You're a backer too.
Yeah, I gotta buy eggs before I buy comic books.
Hey, good source of protein.
Exactly.
And then you have this guy here.
It's just a retail pack. So it's you get 6 books for $100. So it's essentially buy 5 get 1 free.
I like that.
One thing that we on the Friday nights always encourage is get these retail packs and go to your LCS and see if you can get them on the shelves, because that's going to be that will help the word of indie comics spread.
Yeah, and it's not like you're just saying, hey, sell these and don't give me any, like you can be like, give me a portion of the profits or something.
Yeah.
Like you can strike up a deal with your LCS as to whether or not you get some recuperation. Like, yeah, you might be like invested in like, hey, you're gonna maybe take a cut, but you're helping out a creator, you're helping get eyes on prizes and helping out this independent scene, which is not easy to get out there because there's only so much we all can do. So
yeah,
and everything else is sold out, which is great.
Yeah.
So cool. I like that. See, like I said, it's nice. It is nice to have, like, if I were to have one thing, maybe like a $40 tier, like a sketch card in the book or something would be nice for people who want original art but can't afford it. And also it's a mid-grade tier, and so people who have a little extra spending cash can get it. That'd be the only advice I could give. But aside from that,
for sure. Yeah.
So maybe like Nano 13 too. Like you could have an extra little tier. It's a mid tier. And you get people, because people like original things, even if it's like an excerpt or something. Print out something and like give it to them. So dope all around, man. And you're doing great. You're
really great.
Putting in the legwork. You have 48 to go, obviously. So you got time. Not only that, you're going to go through Kickstarter and Indiegogo. So there's other ways. If people don't like Fund My Comic, which I don't know why you don't, why you wouldn't, but you could always check it out on another campaign another day. But please back this one to get them funded.
Yes.
That way he can get it printed.
Yeah, that's what the funding is for, is the printing.
Exactly.
Because this book is finished.
Okay, good. I was going to ask that.
Nice. Actually, about 2 hours before we went live, Ron messaged me and said he had just wrapped up the lettering. So he's going to do another pass over it, make sure he didn't miss anything. And then I'll have Mark go through and do his editor stuff and make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and colors are
nice,
are uniform and all that. And then I talked to the printer last week. I'm supposed to hear from them either Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll figure out when it's going to go to the printer. And my goal is to have it completely printed by the end of the campaign.
Oh,
and if I get my way, we all know that when you're dealing with shippings, a lot of times you don't get your way. Then it will be at the Critical Blast warehouse the Monday after the campaign ends, and we will start fulfillment.
There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, RJ's great.
Cool.
RJ's great. Yeah. He does great stuff. And also, when you do go through the other crowdfunding sites, do you plan on having other covers? A different cover for those?
I had thought about that. I don't think so for the Kickstarter, but the Indiegogo will be the official second chance. The Kickstarter is going to be a little more low key. I'm actually looking at. I've talked to a lot of Texas independent creators, and I'll be really kind of focusing on that as far as a backer base on the Kickstarter. Gotcha. And but then when we do the Indiegogo, that'll be the official second chance. And yeah, we'll definitely have a variant cover, and I might do an artist edition in black and white.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
People do like those. Yeah. So as I said, link to this is pinned to the top of the chat and in the description below. Go back, man, on 13, everybody. Give Chris some love.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Angela, do you have any questions, or is there any more questions in the chat?
I don't see. Holy Hand Grenades doesn't like the sun like you don't like the sun, but other than that, we're good.
Oh, the sun is the devil, everybody. It's the most vile, evil thing, and it needs to be blacked out. Yep. Yeah, it needs to be blacked out like in The Matrix.
Sorry, I live in Texas. I have to disagree.
We can avoid it.
We walk outside and we say, "Burn me."
No.
And then Rick Saylor's here, so hail Rick Saylor.
Hail Rick Saylor, my friend.
But
welcome.
And Jeremy Dirks. So, but anyway, other than that,
they might have been lurking.
But yeah, the backers number. I think we got 27 now. So because of Ruby,
nice. Yeah, thank you everybody for backing. Yeah, check it.
Yeah,
appreciate people back. Everybody knows I don't refresh it during the stream just because I don't. It's just not something I do. We're a promo show, but we want to get to know who the mind behind.
Exactly. It's about the community here.
It's about you.
It is.
Speaking of which, I have one last question. If you could work with anybody, living or dead, who would it be?
If I could work with anyone, living or dead?
Living or dead.
Oh man. It's not even gonna be like a writer or anything.
It doesn't. It could be anybody.
Yeah,
it could be Adam Sandler. It doesn't matter.
I would have loved to just been like some sort of assistant or even a gopher for George Washington.
Oh, I like that. That's a different answer.
How cool. My daughter already knew. She knew.
Nice.
I'm a big history nerd.
Oh man, nice. We could have got. I mean, I love history. My retention of it is terrible. I
can sit there and talk to. I love war history, especially. But man, I am terrible at remembering dates.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Find
somebody else at dates. All right. I can be like, yeah, the Whiskey Rebellion, and what year was that?
There was a
17 something.
Oh my gosh, I gotta read my history. I did not know about this rebellion. That sounds amazing.
Well, I think is that Prohibition, which would be like.
The Whiskey Rebellion? No, that was the time between the end of the American Revolution and the writing or the ratification of the Constitution.
Nice.
What? Oh my
gosh! There you go.
Gosh, during that.
See, and who says you don't learn anything by watching my channel?
I know.
Awesome, man. No, I like that answer. It's unique. It's different, and
I think you're the first person person to have that as an answer.
Yeah,
so.
first person to have a
Nice.
like a non pop culture answer. So nice.
Nice.
I like it. I like it. Nothing wrong with a pop culture one though.
Next time, ask me if you could have any superpowers. What would they be?
You know what? we do need a new question for the year, so maybe I'll start asking that.
There you go.
You could have been you're the inspiration for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So thank you everybody for coming out. Angela, thank you for the co-hosting.
Hey,
everybody go check out ANO 13. What's that?
Anytime I enjoy being your co-host, so this is fun.
Well, after this ends, you're fired anyway. Until the next one.
Build stamina.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, thank you to the chat. Thank you everybody for coming out and backing. Appreciate everybody. Like and subscribe. Back ANO 13. And
thank
have
you.
A great day.
Long day,